Hi, I'm Janice Switlo, and today I'm quoting another section from Chronicles of Canada in 32 volumes from volume 29, The Day of Sir John Macdonald, and I'm referring to page 171. Now, in a previous episode, I described how Donald Smith, who was prominent in the Hudson's Bay Company and well trusted by Indigenous nationals at the time, how he was used to coerce Indigenous nationals in the prairies, if you will. And so here we're talking about one of his elections. During one of Donald Smith's election contests in Manitoba, he felt some uneasiness as to the probable course of a knot of half-breeds in his constituency, but was assured by his election agent that these people were being, quote, looked after, end of quote, and that he need not have any apprehension in regard to them. This agent belonged to a class of Westerners noted for the vigor rather than for the correctness of their language. Smith himself, as is well known, was always most proper in this respect. Now, it so happened that in the last hours of the campaign, the half-breeds who were the objects of his solicitude were beguiled by the enemy, and that they voted against Smith, who lost the election. He felt this defeat very keenly, and so did his agent, who had to bear the additional mortification of having unintentionally misled his principal. When the results of the polling were announced, the agent relieved his feelings by denouncing the delinquent half-breeds in true Hudson's Bay style, and at every opportunity issued profane epithets. He was heard to murmur, "Are they not? Are they not?" So Smith himself got deceived by the quote-unquote half-breeds. Now he's speaking about Métis, and my main reason for this, apart from the approach to politics, you know, the buying off of people, and many Indigenous nationals would speak to allegations of this continuing today in many respects, that the fact is the Métis were voters. Now remember, this is back in the 1800s. This is well before 1960. So here again is another distinction. Why Métis, for example, cannot enter into treaties, because they are already of Canada, and they were voting and part of these constituencies back in 1867 when Constitution Act 1867 came into place, and we started to have the self-governance of Canada commencing. So this is another distinction as to why, and I've emphasized this, not as Indigenous nationals to become lumped in and brought down to a lower level that the Métis exist in. Why is that? Well, they did not exist until contact. It's pretty trite to say. And as I mentioned before, there is a distinction between those people who were adopted into and accepted as part of the Indigenous nation. They are Indigenous nationals. The other category, which is Métis, is a result of and is a form of a new constituency possessing certain attributes. But the two are very distinct. Unfortunately, Section 35, of course, creates that lumping in, and that's very intentional because it is designed and was designed and has been implemented and applied in a manner of creating a general domestic ethnic minority, and that's all I have to say.